Coming up on today's San Francisco 49ers report, it's day 2 of NFL free agency, and San Francisco this morning restructuring the contract for Charvarius Ward. Does that mean that a big move is coming? We'll take a look also at the 49ers free agency tracker and the top available free agents who the Niners could still sign. Before we get started, though, this is your one-stop shop for all of the best Niners offseason coverage. We went live yesterday. Multiple videos out on the channel. This is what we do. Hopefully going live later today as well. Appreciate everybody who tuned in yesterday to all of our shows and our live show. $700+ in super chats, and now we're less than 700 people away from 80,000 subscribers. Can we get there by the end of the week? Faithful, Niner Gang, Niner Empire, I'm challenging all of you. Tell your friends what we have cooking here on the show and subscribe today. Let's start with this. San Francisco restructuring the contract for Charvarius Ward. Last offseason, he was their big ticket free agency signing, and in the process, the Niners here freeing up about $10 million of salary cap space. Is a big move, or are big moves coming for this football team? Javon Hargrave was a monster splash yesterday, 4-year, $84 million contract. But if San Francisco, on top of Charvarius Ward, restructures the contracts for players like Trent Williams, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, Fred Warner, maybe Eric Armstead, although they've already restructured his contract before, San Francisco could free up a lot of money. We're talking $40-50 million of cap room to maybe bring in another big ticket free agent as they get on that quest for 6 Super Bowls. With that, let's shift gears to the moves that the Niners have already made. This is the Niners free agency tracker. Late on Sunday night, they re-signed to Sean Gibson, 1-year deal, $2.9 million. The big one, as I said, Javon Hargrave, one of the best defensive tackles in the sport. He was number 3 at that position among all defensive tackles according to Pro Football Focus last year, and had a career-high 11 sacks. Him on that defensive line with Eric Armstead and Nick Bosa, and on that defense with Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, Charvarius Ward, Diamador Lenore, Talanoa Hufanga, and Tashawn Gibson, they could once again run it back as being one of, if not the best defense in the NFL. An underrated signing, Kevin Givens, 1-year contract for the Niners, just shy of $3 million. That news just coming in a little while ago. And Sam Darnold, that's the veteran backup quarterback that John Lynch had said that the Niners were going to look for. It's officially going to be Darnold. 1 year, $4.5 million, $3.5 guaranteed. What's fascinating about this move, with incentives, it could go all the way up to $11 million. Basically, some incentives in there if he's playing a lot, if he's playing well, and the San Francisco 49ers are winning football games. Of course, I do expect it either to be Trey Lance or Brock Purdy, but you never know because quarterback attrition has been a thing for this football team. Now to the players that the Niners have lost. Let's begin with Jimmy Garoppolo here, signing with the Las Vegas Raiders. This is something that we talked about ad nauseum over the last couple of months, and something that came to fruition yesterday. He teams back up with Josh McDaniels, who was his offensive coordinator with the New England Patriots, going to be a 3-year, $67.5 million contract, $34 million guaranteed, and that's really what you have to look at with some of these contracts in the NFL. It's not the total money that really matters, it's the guaranteed money, because after that, it's basically a fake contract. For instance, for Garoppolo, it's basically a 2-year deal. And at $34 million over 2 years for him, if he wins and continues to win about 70% of his football games, and they continue to, play well this year and next year, it's actually a pretty good deal for the Las Vegas Raiders, who are putting together a pretty good roster. Josh Jacobs is the running back. They signed Jacoby Myers, probably the number 1 free agent wide receiver in what is a down wide receiver class. You have Hunter Renfrow. You have Darren Waller. You have Devontae Adams, Max Crosby, pretty good defense. I think the Raiders are a pretty interesting team heading into 2023. So he got paid. Mike McGlinchey got a whole different bag and a whole different stratosphere, signing with the Denver Broncos and Sean Payton for a 5-year deal, $87.5 million, $50 million guaranteed. I felt good about saying that McGlinchey was going to get at least $15 million. He gets even more than that. So I was right on Garoppolo. I was right on McGlinchey getting that contract because teams are desperate for offensive line help. And Mike McGlinchey, whether you like him or not, is a top 10 to 12 tackle in this league. He got paid as such. Niners also losing an interior defensive lineman yesterday in Hassan Ridgeway. So you bring back Kevin Givens, which was good. I would have liked to have seen Hassan Ridgeway come back. Niners probably would have paid him $2-3 million. Instead, he inks a 1-year deal, $4 million, $3 million in guarantees. He goes to the Texans, the team back up with D'Amico Ryans. Houston sneakily having a pretty good free agency period, in my opinion. And speaking of that, longtime Niner Jimmy Ward, who was the last player with ties to the Jim Harbaugh era, had overseen a couple of different regimes, had played every position in that secondary, safety, slot, nickel, and outside corner, developed into a captain, wore a couple of different jersey numbers, saw some wins, saw some losses, basically dealt with everything that you can imagine for a football player, is signing with the Texans. It is officially a 2-year deal worth $13 million. I think the Niners are really going to miss him. I think that Jimmy Ward's versatility last year proved to be very advantageous and beneficial for this defense a year ago because Deshaun Gibson was playing so well. He had to play slot corner. He played really well, and I would have kept him for $6.5 million. But San Francisco probably would have wanted him to play slot corner again, and Jimmy Ward said on Instagram Live a couple of weeks ago, and he's made it be known that he wants to be a safety. He will be D'Amico Ryans' safety. Jimmy Ward, we wish you well. You were a great Niner for a really long time. Former first-round pick whose career started off in a tricky territory because he dealt with a lot of injuries and erratic play, but ended up turning into a top 100 player as voted by NFL players heading into last year and a Pro Bowl caliber guy. So up to this point, how would you grade the Niners free agency so far? A, B, C, D, or F? I want you to let me know down in the comment section. And on the other side, we are going to take a look at the top remaining free agent targets for San Francisco, internal candidates, external candidates. But first, let me tell you about Athletic Greens, also known as AG1. This is a supplement that I take every single day, and I take it in the morning or before and after my workouts, and it's reaped massive, massive dividends and benefits for me. I gave it a try because I work so much here at Chat Sports, but also I'm really devoted to my health and fitness, and I work out every single day. I've run for nearly 300 straight days, and I wanted sustained energy, and I wanted to keep my immune system strong because I love being on air. I can't miss time because of sickness, and I don't allow my body to ail or get sick. So that's why I love AG1. It's boosted my energy, it supports my immune system, it's really improved my gut health, and it helps me recover physically since I'm putting such a toll on my body. I also love AG1, and it's 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients. I mix 1 small scoop of AG1 with water. I drink it first thing each morning or before and after my workouts. I also love something that's this good for you and prioritizing your health. One life, one body. That's the motto. Costs less than $3 a day. So if a comprehensive solution suits you, we have a great deal for the Niner Gang. 5 free travel packs, a year's supply of vitamin D, $20 off your purchase. Can't miss it. You don't want to miss it. athleticgreens.com/chatsports. That is the link for that deal to apply. Let's move forward. Remaining Niners free agency needs here. I'm looking at center, right tackle, cornerback, safety, edge rusher, and kicker. Let's start off with that first position. It's the center position. Latest on Jake Brendel. We talked about this yesterday. Multiple teams, multiple playoff contenders in the market for him as he had a pretty solid season last year, starting for the first time at center in Kyle Shanahan's offense. And that's why he has a pretty nice market. I'd like for the Niners to shore up that center spot back in 2020. They were awful at that position, and it was terrible for this football team. If they cannot re-sign Jake Brendel, here are the other top free agent centers available. Now, Rodney Hudson of the Arizona Cardinals is expected to retire, so you might have to cross him off this list, but pretty solid player for a really long time. Connor McGovern of the Jets, also a free agent. Ben Jones made it to a Pro Bowl last year. Tennessee Titans. He's a free agent after he got released by Rand Carthon last week, former Niners executive. Justin Britt, Garrett Bradberry, 2 other centers. Now, a lot of these guys, at least some of them, pretty old outside of McGovern, but not bad options for a year. If you do bring him in for a year, maybe drafting a center is an option. And I'll tell you this, that Jason Poe could be an option for the Niners as well. The UDFA last year out of Mercer, he's so athletic and fast as he ran a sub-5 40-yard dash at his pro day 2 years ago that some teams were trying him out as a fullback. He did win special teams player of the year last year for the Niners. That could be a sneaky option. As for cornerback, I think that's really imperative for San Francisco to bring back Emmanuel Moseley. If I was calling the shots, if I was in the shoes of general manager John Lynch, Adam Peters, and if I was writing up this contract like Parag, I would re-sign Emmanuel Moseley. Playoff contenders reportedly are looking into him. It's easy to see why. 2 years ago in 2021, didn't give up a touchdown in coverage, and last year before the ACL injury, he was playing excellent lockdown football. Top free agent cornerbacks available. Pretty good list here. James Bradberry might be a little bit too pricey for San Francisco, as he could get 10, 13, $14 million per year, depending on what the market dictates. William Jackson hasn't played well in a couple of years. Last year, after going to the Steelers, after he was let go by Washington, didn't play for Pittsburgh because he was injured, so I'd hit pause on that. Shaquille Griffin of the Jacksonville Jaguars was let go. Trey Herndon has been a player who the Niners have had interest in. The UDFA has put together a pretty nice career. Marcus Peters is 30 years old, can still play a little bit. As a cornerback, too, you can certainly do worse there, but sometimes he makes you go crazy with his attitude on the sideline. I like his swagger. I like his heart for the game, but sometimes you just got to take that chill pill. Bradley Roby, Ronald Darby, Byron Murphy, the other free agents, James Bradberry, Byron Murphy, by the way, the 2 players on this list who could really cash in. As for the safety spot, I think the Niners right now are going to go with Deshaun Gibson, Talanoa Hufanga, and draft a rookie. The dream target would be C.J. Gardner-Johnson of the Philadelphia Eagles, but him, like James Bradberry, 2 of the top free agents at their respective positions, he could get a pretty handsome payday as well. But that's a player who can play slot nickel, safety, and you can use him as a chess piece all across the football field, like an old school Malcolm Jenkins, even like a recent Honey Badger. This is a guy who can certainly have his fingerprints on a variety of areas in a football game. To right tackle now, Mike McGlinchey got paid, as we discovered yesterday, and as we talked about earlier on in today's show. Couple of decent free agent tackles who could come at an affordable price for the Niners. George Fant, formerly of the Jets. Billy Turner of the Denver Broncos, Jawan James of the Baltimore Ravens, David Quessenberry of the Bills, and then Riley Reiff of the Chicago Bears, longtime starting tackle for the Cincinnati Bengals. There's been some buzz that he could be a target for San Francisco. Maybe they also address offensive tackle like center and safety in the NFL draft. Now to edge rusher. It absolutely blows my mind how Yannick Ngakoue doesn't get enough recognition or enough traction as one of the best edge rushers in this sport. It's criminal, honestly. This is a guy who is 27 years old, and in each of his 7 seasons in the NFL, he has put forward at least 8 sacks in all of those years. And you look at what he's done over his last 4, 8 sacks in 2019, 8 sacks in 2020, 10 in 2021, and last year with the Indianapolis Colts, 9.5. This player, opposite of Nick Bosa, would be a dream. He's a fantastic edge rusher who is still 27 years old, and on one-on-one matchups, because Bosa's on the other side, that means that he's not getting double-teamed, Bosa isn't getting double-teamed, and then you have Eric Armstead and Javon Kinlaw and Javon Hargrave on the inside. John Lynch, please bring me Yannick Ngakoue. Lastly, top free agent kickers, because kickers are people too. There's still a possibility Robbie Gould could come back. There haven't been a ton of monster kicker contracts outside of Matt Gay, formerly of the Rams, signing with the Indianapolis Colts for a pretty big deal. So if the market dictates that kickers aren't going to get that much money because Matt Gay kind of set the standard there, maybe the Niners could bring back Robbie Gould at a pretty affordable price, or they could address kicker in the draft as well. I'd be tempted to use a 4th-round pick on a kicker, honestly. I think it's that important of a position for a team that doesn't have a lot of holes in the Niners. But other free agents, Mason Crosby, longtime Packer. He's like 38 years old. I don't see how he doesn't go back to Green Bay. Eddy Pinieiro has been linked to the Niners. Randy Bullock of the Tennessee Titans was let go. He's a pretty solid kicker too. And then Brett Maher, outside of missing 4 extra points against the Bucs in the wild card round, he's actually been a pretty serviceable kicker for a long time for the Dallas Cowboys. So with that, our question to round out today's show is this one to my right. Which free agent do you want the Niners to sign? I have two. Yannick Ngakoue, Emmanuel Moseley. Give them to me, John Lynch, and we'll celebrate here on the show if it happens.